Hello. Chris from PPM and Simona from PPM. I don't know why I just introduced you there. We have a little bit to get through, don't we? Because we're going to talk about this case with this legal case with Rightmove, which I think Victoria, one of our clients last week said, "Oh, tell me more about this legal case. It sounds really interesting." Um, and for the grand scheme of things, I think it will be quite interesting. I actually first heard about this legal case back in November, but it's sort of snowballed from there, and it's become much bigger.
Well, let's
Go on.
so Little Feelings increased to 1.5 billion by now. So
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly.
wow.
It's. I mean, basically the beginning of, as I say, I first heard about it in November, and then since then it's sort of snowballed to a point where in April, beginning of April, everybody started reporting on it. Even I mean, BBC started reporting on it. Even Reuters, like the big news channel, Reuters, they started reporting on it, and a couple of other a couple of other channels started reporting on it as well. But yeah, I believe that it is a 1.5 billion pound legal action has now been filed.
So actually, this could become one of the largest competition cases in the UK when it comes to
Oh,
property
it
sector.
will
So
be. Yeah, it
it
will
will
be
be.
by far. Yeah, it will be one of the biggest cases that's ever hit the UK courts. Certainly from a portal perspective. Um, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I at the minute I don't know what kind of impact it's going to have on the overseas arm, but presumably at some point the overseas arm is going to be mentioned because Rightmove itself is not just it's not just the UK based. They do have the overseas arm as well, and I think the same problem that's occurring in the UK has to a degree occurred on the overseas arm as well. Look, the main reason people are bringing about this case is because they feel that Rightmove has um, abused their market dominance
Yeah.
and essentially imposed unfair and
Excessive,
unavoidable,
because
unfair fees. Like,
the like basically the phrasing was excessive and unfair
yes,
listing fees
yes,
for the agents and developers, and now there are
yeah,
thousands of them.
yeah.
So
I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of agents in the UK that have come out in support of this legal action, and it was brought about by a chap called Jeremy Newman.
oh yeah, he's the former competition or something and markets authority
Correct.
panel member. Okay, yeah.
Yes, he is. And the claim alleges that Rightmove has charged thousands of estate agents, new home developers, excessive and unfair subscription fees, and the action has now been filed. Now, a lot of the estate agents that have come forward are all UK based, but going back to this same issue with overseas, Rightmove have for a number of years just it seemed to have this policy of just every year excessively increasing the prices without actually increasing the number of leads that have been generated. Um, so even though the overseas arm hasn't been affected as much by UK agents, presumably it is going to get mentioned in the court, and presumably it will also have an impact on their overseas arm because they will be forced to take action. If of course, Rightmove end up losing the case. Rightmove seemingly have. I think they
Done nothing
initially.
wrong.
I think they initially declined to comment, but then they have commented since that. And obviously, what they've said is that they're increasing traffic, that they offer a lot of value for their clients, or sorry, yes, they offer a lot of value for their clients, and they're investing a lot of money in sort of new AI technology, and they get lots and lots of traffic to the site. And I think the company's own consumer research suggests it has an 80% share of time spent on property portals. So there's no question that they are a dominant force within the marketplace. There's absolutely zero question on that. And therefore, the numbers of leads that they can generate for agents, and let's include the overseas side on this, the number of leads that they can generate for agents is probably quite high. But I think the main issue is that they are they are a 70% profit making company, right? 70%. I
And
mean,
there's okay, and the thing is, you have thousands of agents, right?
Yeah.
And the fees are quite steep.
Yes.
So you might have some of them that are having leads and they're selling their properties, but you're gonna have a good chunk of them that are gonna
Mm.
pay this huge amount of money
Yeah.
per month,
Yeah.
and they're not getting back the sales that they're expecting to.
Mm. I think what essentially what you've got is a problem where everybody who's in the UK, right, knows Rightmove. I use the word everybody really kind of loosely, but everybody knows Rightmove. And when agents go round to value someone's house, and this does happen overseas as well, especially if you're trying to target the UK, right? All the sellers ask, "Are you on Rightmove?" And if you're not on Rightmove, it's deemed to be a bad thing.
Mm.
Whereas actually, the technology now that is available to agents, it shouldn't be a bad thing because there are other portals, there's other technology, there's social media, there's loads of other bits and pieces. But Rightmove does seem to be so dominant within sellers' eyes that if you're not on Rightmove, it's considered a bad thing. What you've got off the back of that is Rightmove themselves fully are aware of that and they fully know that. And I think the issue is that they've just been taking massive advantage of that. And when you talk about a profit margin of 70%, it is staggering. I mean, it makes them one of the most profitable companies on the FTSE 100, right? Whereas most companies probably operate at what, 20, 30% profit margin? I mean, it's 70%. It's huge. So you can understand why agents are, I mean, I'm going to use the word upset. Right? Agents are more than just upset, but I think reading some of the things that you sort of read through the BBC. I mean, there's one agent here. Her fees have more than doubled in 7 years. I won't mention the name, but she said that she was being, she said her fees were doubled. And there's one chap here who owns a couple of estate agents in Northamptonshire, and he's being charged over 5 grand a month, right? A month. But that's not a premium package. That's a basic package of between 30 to 50 properties. That's it. Like,
That's a lot, though. That's
it's
a lot.
ridiculous, you know? And when you've got that, right? And then you've got your office costs on top, and then you've got your salaries on top of that, and then you've got this. Bearing in mind, right? Bearing in mind that not everybody who comes through Rightmove is going to be a buyer in terms of the lead
That's
generated. If
that's what I was saying before.
yeah,
So you pay these fees, right? A
yeah,
month. And the mentality would be like, oh, why do you care paying 5 grand a month? If you sell a property that is 500,000, then it's not gonna even matter to you.
yeah,
So, but then no, because it's a monthly expense that you get all the time, and it's
mhm,
on top of all the rest.
yeah,
And sometimes you do not sell that property for 500,000 that
no,
month.
no.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's a whole kind of David and Goliath approach, really, I think. And as I said before, when the fees effectively go up year on year on year, I think I saw something the other day where somebody said, God, my fees have gone up again. Unfortunately, salaries don't go up in line every single year, right? The number of buyers,
Ideally, ideally, they should.
ideally, it would
I
be great if
mean,
they did, but they don't. the
they don't.
number the number of buyers doesn't increase at that same value, right? Because as we know, it's peaks and troughs, right? So when you've kind of got all those costs on top, and then you know that next year you're probably 90% confident that that cost is going to go up again, it's a massive struggle, and I can understand why the lawsuit has been agreed. But the funny thing here, and the thing to mention here as well, because I don't want to keep kicking Rightmove down the path here, right? Which is already well trodden. But the key thing here is that the agents don't want to stop using Rightmove because they understand the value of Rightmove, but they just want to be treated fairly. And I think that's a really key point to make.
And have lower costs. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And have lower costs. I think there comes a point where you have to place where it becomes about value, right? Can you justify the cost that you're paying? And you and me, we've talked about this before, and we go on about this all the time, is It doesn't matter whether you're paying £100 or whether you're paying £5,000. If you can justify that cost based on what you're getting back in return, fair play, right? Fine, brilliant. But if you can't justify that cost, what's the point in doing it? The issue that you've got with Rightmove is because they're so dominant in the marketplace, and because sellers want to know that these agents are on Rightmove, the agent feels like they have no option but to pay
Yeah,
it.
they have no choice, to be honest.
Yeah,
Because the social pressure and then is basically it's just pressure from every side.
yeah,
So yeah, you have to be there or they're
mm,
not gonna consider you. And if you're there, you feel obliged to agree to the terms even if you're not all right with them.
yeah,
And it's just
yeah,
like a roller coaster. It never ends. You don't have a certainty, as you said, that your fees are gonna stay like this for at least a year, or they're gonna increase, or they're gonna double.
yeah,
And it's frustrating. So you can
yeah.
understand
I
that.
I get it. No, I do totally get it. But I think it is quite an important point that they're not saying we're not going to stop using you. What they are saying is we're happy with what we get. We're just being massively overcharged for it, which I think is fair in anti-competition. It is, especially when you consider something, especially when you consider a site like Zoopla, for example, where they pay. I think one of the BBC articles mentioned they're paying 400, 500 a month for the same package.
No.
It's that is so much. It's so much fairer when you look at it in that way. And going back to the overseas side. I mean, I know of agents that have come off Rightmove and they've not they I think overseas they don't experience the same sort of pressure that they do in the UK when it comes to selling, right? Because there are other portals, there are other ways. There's email marketing, there's other portals, there's social media, there's a whole host of other things that are available to them, and there isn't that pressure. But there is still the question of fairness because a lot of the overseas agents that we have, again, they are feeling the same sort of thing where they go to Rightmove and then consistently their fees go up and up and up to a point where that agent has no choice but to leave because the fees they've
Too
become
much.
too much. Um, and yeah, I think we covered this question just before we started the podcast as well. But I see it all the time where not agents, but people say, why are agents so expensive? Right? This is one of the reasons. This is exactly one of the reasons because the advertising fees don't get any cheaper. They don't get any cheaper. They consistently get higher. It becomes more expensive to advertise the listings that you've got. So, you know,
The thing is, with Rightmove right now, they can't say, "Oh, you're right, we're gonna cut down fees." They can't go back somehow
mm,
and reduce the fees all of a sudden just like this. So, I mean, the best outcome is they're gonna kind of freeze their fees for a while.
yeah, I mean, they might be. I mean, look, if they win this, okay, so you're looking at a bit of a catch-22 here. If they win this case, okay, it effectively gives them the right to continue doing what they're doing, okay. But that is in some ways counterproductive for them because it will get to a point where it becomes just completely unviable, right? Completely unviable, and agents will just stop using them. Okay, and that whole point about pressure
And
won't be
that,
as
Chris,
important.
let's keep in
But
mind also that the backlash and their image is quite affected. It doesn't matter if they win or not.
hmm,
They got this case now on their
yeah,
hands, and there is this doubt now in the
yeah,
mind of every people going on to remove what's going on here. So even with those that have no idea what's going on about the case or haven't read about the case, there's still this notion now, oh, they're being sued. So kind of guilty until proven contrary is gonna be more like, oh, you're guilty, and we're gonna decide afterwards.
yeah. It will be, but I think at the same time, the for consumers, does it really impact the consumer's life? I mean, look, bear in mind that if you're a consumer, okay, or even if you're a seller, all right, let's go either way. If you're a buyer or a seller in the UK, right? Um, if you know that you're going to find the house of your dreams on Rightmove,
You're
you're
gonna go
not
on
gonna
Rightmove.
you're not gonna give two hoots whether Rightmove are going through a legal case or not. All you care about is, am I going to find the house that I want? Or as a seller, am I going to sell my house, right, on time, in a timely fashion,
Yeah,
with a
yeah.
good agent, right? You're not going to give two hoops about whether Rightmove is being sued or not. What you might what you might start caring about is actually when an agent is sat in front of you and says, and that agent is talking about their fees, and then as a consumer you say, well, why are your fees so high? This case might start to help agents out a little bit because they can point to this case and they can say, this is what I'm being charged. So this is one of the reasons why the fees are as
Okay.
high as they are. So it
No.
might start to like just unravel that pressure a little bit.
Or the other way around, where agents are going to increase their fees and blame it
Well,
on.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the other side to it, isn't it? That's the other side to it is if Rightmove do indeed win this case, not only does it give them a right to continue doing what they're doing, but it will then mean that agents themselves will have to start increasing their own costs, which obviously then doesn't help the industry at all. It doesn't help at all in terms of anything really. But yeah, it will give way to Rightmove to just continue charging these fees and indeed continue increasing their prices, and it will open the door to agents to start saying, okay, well, we're no longer charging you 1.5%. We're now charging you 3%. Because we have these consistently high fees through the portal that you yourself want to use. You want us to be on that portal, therefore, that cost has got to be passed on. If the other side to this is, of course, is we have to think that Rightmove might lose this case. I mean, there is a possibility that Rightmove might lose this case. In which case, what happens then? Do they get forced to change their pricing strategy? Or do they get forced to put a freeze on their pricing? I mean, if they put a freeze on their pricing, how long does that freeze go on for? I don't know what I don't know what the possibilities will be, but I think they will probably be forced to change their pricing
I
strategy.
mean, just considering, I mean, for now, if they lose, just considering the fees, the legal fees, and like we're talking billions, Chris. So it's not a few K here and there;
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
billions.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So at this point, yeah, I wouldn't want to be their CEO,
No,
honestly.
I think look, they are. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna fight the case too. Really, they're gonna fight the case tooth and nail. But I've got a feeling that they will lose the case. I have because you can't just keep raising your prices. It's not fair in terms of competition rules. You cannot just keep charging excessive fees, and it's like throwing just throw money at it, just throw money at it, just throw money at it. You know, you can't because their profit margins might be going up and up and up, but estate agents' profit margins are falling, and then you get to a point where those estate agents are no longer able to operate because it becomes too expensive. And if those start closing down, then it's even more of a problem for other things. So I've got a funny feeling that if they lose the case, and there's a distinct possibility that they might, they will have to change their pricing strategy, which will be lower fees. But you know what that will do? That then gets us into another conversation because if they lower their fees and make it better for agents to advertise, all those agents that have left might start coming back. So for Rightmove, does it really affect them in any way? Even if they lower their prices, yeah, okay, their profit margins are lower. But actually, if they've then got more agents advertising with them, that then balances it out. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing if they do have to lower their prices. But yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see what happens for sure. And I'm actually glad it's coming to market because again, that whole people's mindset will start. It'll bring about a lot of public interest in it, and there is already public interest in it. Um, and it might also start forcing other portals to sort of change their own mindsets as well. You know, um, and it might start saying you cannot just put your fees up year in year out without justifying it. That whole justification problem again.
I
But
mean,
you know,
as in any contract, at some point they will have to basically specify how or when they want to increase those fees and on what basis they're going to
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
instead of
I've not seen a Rightmove contract. Certainly not from the UK. I've seen a couple from the overseas side, but I've not seen one from the UK. So at this moment in time, but I think within their contract, there's probably a clause, which there is in like most contracts, like your phone
the
contract, which
tiny
says
one, you know,
there's
the ones that you
like
never read, the
yeah,
ones
yeah.
that are really tiny, 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 and no one reads.
You need like the the Hubble telescope that they use to look at faraway stars. You need one of them just to like look at this tiny bit of contract, tiny bit of tiny print. But I think in that tiny print, it does say Rightmove reserve the right to increase prices in line with inflation year on year. It has to say that because you
Yeah, but
can't just
increase.
increase prices.
Okay, increase prices in light of inflation. That's one. But increase prices 100%.
Yeah,
It has to. At some point, they have to actually pinpoint something more specific that
yeah,
increase them. Like, okay, by how much?
yeah,
2%, 10%, 100%.
yeah, yeah,
You can't just say reserve the right to increase prices. Okay.
yeah. Exactly. There is, yeah, exactly. You can't just you cannot just consistently put it with prices without it being, without there being some form of people, something that lets people know you're going to do that. But look, I think it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next few months. And let's be honest, right? This is not every single estate agent complaining. This is
I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I know with this case they're off by so they're representing all agents unless they opt out of it.
correct. Yes, correct.
Right.
They are representing every single agent unless that agent opts out. But there's, I mean, this is not just one agent that's complaining. This is like hundreds and hundreds of
Thousands
estate
actually by
agents.
now.
Not only the big one, not only the big chains, but the independents as well. But I think I actually read somewhere as well that the agents are being the smaller agents feel like they're being treated unfairly because the bigger the chain, the more of a discount they're getting because effectively they are
Okay.
because and I don't know the truth behind that. I
Okay, that's
can't. I believe
mean.
me.
Okay, that's really mean. Come on.
Yeah, I'm not
So,
saying that that's what they're doing, but I have read where I've read quite a few articles where people think it's happening because obviously Rightmove have to have stock, and the bigger the agent, the bigger the offices are, the more stock they've got. So there are some agents that might be saying things like, well, we feel we're being treated unfairly because these offices are getting a bigger discount and they're only being charged this amount per month, whereas we're coming into the market with this and we're being charged a hell of a lot more on the same package. Now, as I say, I don't know whether that is what the truth of that is, but a little part of me does say I wouldn't be surprised if that was happening.
okay.
I wouldn't be, but I'm not. Believe me, Rightmove. I'm not saying it is happening. Don't take a legal case out
Okay,
against
I'm not
me.
saying that is the case. Okay.
But but I wouldn't be surprised. Do you know what though? Right. To be fair to Rightmove, okay, I have been a big fan of Rightmove for many years. Okay, I've said that for many years. I have been a big fan of Rightmove for many years because they do generate good quality inquiries. The problem I have is exactly the same problem as these agents are having. You cannot consistently just keep putting prices up and up and up and not be able to justify it. If you look at and this is what's happening with overseas agents right now, fees have gone up and up and up, but the numbers of leads that have been generated have not been going up and up and up, and that's where it becomes a problem. Um, but I when I first came into this industry, there was no one better than them, and that's me being genuinely honest. There was nobody better than them, and
I
they
mean, they're
were
still
producing good value,
one of the
and they still
best.
do to a point.
No, to
You
a
know,
point, they're still one of the best. No one is contesting that.
yeah,
What they're actually unhappy, as you said, is just the increase of fees.
it's the
And
price. It's the price which is the massive problem behind it. But yeah, so the case that's going in, yeah, it's a 1.5 billion legal action which has been filed. Um, it's due to excessive and unfair subscription
yeah,
fees. Yeah, and it's being bought by Jeremy Newman. He was a former panel of the Competition and Markets Authority. Um, And yeah, Rightmove received a pre-action letter informing them of the legal action back in November, and it was filed. I think it was filed at the beginning of April. It was filed. Um, and yes, when the letter was originally filed, there were 250 estate agencies from across the UK that expressed an interest in the support for the claim. That was when it was first announced in November. Obviously, there's a few more hundred that have come in since then. Um, but uh, but yeah, look, it'll be really really interesting to see what happens. Um, oh, here you go. Here you go. This is one of the things I was looking for. So research published back in December found that Rightmove's annual fee rises have outpaced the growth in estate agencies' commissions for the third consecutive year. So
Wow.
in
Okay.
2024, for example, house prices increased by 1.3% versus 2023, boosting the average commission earned per property sold by £49. However, Rightmove's average monthly fee increased by £93 per month, an increase of
Wow. Okay.
6.5%. So,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. So, estate agents' commission earnings only increased by 1.3%, right? But Rightmove's monthly fee increased by 6.5%. So, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch this space, basically. There
What
will
this
be
way?
There will be another podcast. We will follow this. We will follow this case with interest, I think, and there will be another one. Good. So, any questions on that? We're always welcome to take questions. Always welcome to take comments. I know that it's been more sort of UK, but it will be interesting to see what kind of happens on the overseas side as well as a result of that. But with these things, it'll take months, maybe even years to get to court. So we shall see. Good. Next week, we are going to talk about AI, aren't we? So that'll be interesting. That's it.